Listen, do you hear that? It is so quiet here. Everything is so quiet and barren. The trees don't even have leaves on them. There's no life rustling around in their branches. It makes you wonder if there's any life out there at all. The obvious effects of winter overpowering the hope of the promise of spring. You know, so many times our lives can be that way as well, where the winter season of our lives has lasted so long that we're left feeling dead and barren and all alone with no hope for spring. We tell ourselves we have to go through this and we have to do it alone. Well, do we? In the Bible, there's a story of a man who was deaf. Now, his friends knew about Jesus. They knew that Jesus could heal him. In fact, they brought their friend to Jesus, who happened to be in the middle of a very large crowd. Now, you can probably guess the end of the story. Jesus did heal the man. But it's what happened at the beginning of the story that caught my attention. It's found here in the book of Mark, chapter 7. It says here, Jesus led the man to a private place away from the crowd. In the middle of that pushy group, Jesus saw only one thing: a precious person that needed to be healed. Before he brought his divine touch to this man, he had to set this man apart from everyone else. He knew that on that particular day, with that particular man, healing would come only as he got him alone. How personal is Jesus. I love that about him. And when Jesus looks at you, he doesn't see a face in a crowd. He sees an individual that he loves, someone who is precious to him, someone with a need that only he can meet. And oftentimes, he's just waiting to get us alone before he meets it. Jill Briscoe wrote a book called The Deep Place Where Nobody Goes, Conversations with God on the Steps of My Soul. Maybe in the quiet, perhaps even barren place that you are right now, you need to invite Jesus to a conversation on the steps of your soul. You might be wondering, well, what's going to happen? What's he going to do? Well, in the book of Ephesians, there's a verse that I really like. It says, God can do anything, you know, far more than you could ever imagine or guess or request in your wildest dreams. He does it not by pushing us around, but by working within us, His Spirit deeply and gently within us. And that's the hope that we have of spring. God stirring new life deeply and gently within us. There's a variation on a very famous verse in the book of Ephesians chapter 3 that I really like. Listen to this. It says, may your roots go down deep into the soil of God's marvelous love, and may you have the power to understand how wide, how long, how high, and how deep His love for you really is. When He gets us alone, does that deep healing work in us, that's when we get to know Him in a personal way, and that's when a true relationship with Almighty God begins. And then the results? Well, that's when spring springs forth. The birds in the distant trees. Spring is coming, the promise is there. And it can come to your life too, as you'll invite God in and you'll allow Him to do that deep work in you. And the colors and the life that He will bring into your life will take you above and beyond anything you could ever imagine. But maybe first, He just wants to get you alone.